Hi guys. So the other day I put a post up, just obviously stating that, you know, if anybody had any questions they wanted to ask in relation to Ukraine and volunteering and obviously myself and what we do. So today I'm joined by my partner who also used to volunteer in Ukraine this year. This is Cora.
Hi.
You may have seen Cora before on Brandon's videos. Brandon actually did an interview with me and Cora back earlier in the year in Konstantinivka, which is near Bakhmut. So yeah, some of you obviously know who Cora is already through Instagram, and some of you are obviously new. But Cora obviously lives here in the UK with me. Me and Cora have been together for quite some time, and she works full time from home. Whilst obviously I'm doing the work out in Ukraine as well. So, but Cora has been out to Ukraine twice, and as it does engage with obviously our volunteering as well. So yes, Cora's going to be asking me the questions today. I've not actually seen the questions myself. If you notice, I haven't reacted to most of them because I thought it'd be better if Cora asked me the questions and then I can just give you a proper answer without thinking about it too much, you know. But we're actually here in Blackpool in England. I'm home for Christmas. There is the winter's moved in Ukraine now, so obviously I have to make a professional decision, and for safety reasons we couldn't demine whilst the ground is frozen and whilst the snow and the winter weather moves in. Yuri and the guys are still working out there. They're still working every day, but for me personally, you know, I've got to also protect my working reputation, and for me to be working in them conditions isn't really good, and it's not really safe. So yeah, Cora's going to answer the question, ask me the questions, and hopefully I can answer everything that's been put to me on the last community post. So yeah, go on. First one. Who's
Okay.
Who's it from, and what's the question?
So I do apologise if I don't ever read the YouTube names properly. My pronunciation can be quite bad because I'm British. But anyway, so we've got someone called @KimChub1225. Hi Harley, can I ask, are the mines all old Soviet stock? Do you see any newly manufactured stuff, and are there any advancements in mines, or is that left to the drone war? Best wishes.
So in the region that I work, which is Kherson region, a lot of the mines that we come across are the old Soviet TM62 and PMN2, POM2, POM3, and the PFM, you know, the plastic butterfly mines that you see. They're the main ones that we come across. We have come across some PTM4s. There's all sorts of different munitions really, but the most common ones tend to be the old Soviet ones. Now I do know in different areas such as Zaporizhia and Kharkiv, you know, they have come across more modern munitions, so maybe next year I might come across some different ones. But yeah, the war is as you know, it's changing. It's more of a drone war these days. You know, it's quite a high-tech war at the minute, but there's a lot of improvisation and stuff going on both sides as well. So it's interesting, and a lot of the weapons that are being used are interesting. So I'll keep you updated, but as it stands at the minute, pretty much old Soviet ones.
You mentioned butterfly mines, so the next one is from @StephenWalsh3795. Looking good. Is there a need to 3D print butterfly props for training, and where could I send them to?
As for our team, no, there isn't. We actually invested in some 3D printers a few months ago through donations through YouTube. So our engineer Dima, he has all the files for all the replica designing and making of mines. We actually are in the process of making them. We have printed quite a few off already, and our replica mines actually get sent out to the schools in that region through Kevin, the Sunflower Project, you know, my colleagues that you might see on the videos. Kevin and the team, Dima, they distribute these replicas to the local education, just to obviously educate the kids and stuff in these in the liberated areas where the mines are.
So there is a question from @Thomas. I don't know if it's Mopar or M0Par, but he says, in your opinion, what are the most needed, or what is the most needed support right now? So is that A, for your team, B, civil people in the areas, I presume that's civilians that you work with, or C, military in the area that you are working at. He's also said, keep up the great work, Harley, and let your team know that we think about them. Greetings from Sweden.
Thank you. So our need at the minute, as a team, equipment wise, we've kind of got majority of the stuff that we need. Our need is more the ability to detonate more. Obviously, you may have seen a controversial argument between me and another EOD technician. Don't get me wrong, it's a professional argument. I mean, he obviously works. He's a professional. He's done this job a lot longer than I have, you know. But he was trying to advise me and keep me safe in terms of the way that we work. He obviously doesn't agree with the way that we work. I kind of have a different view on things, because the thing is that he's backed by a multi-million-pound demining charity. He works for them. They are active in Ukraine, and they have all the resources available that they need. We don't have that, unfortunately. So we have very, very, very limited resources, and the results that we get, we're probably, you know, I think it's safe to say that we are probably the most successful demining team in Ukraine. I think I can confidently say that in terms of numbers. We've never had an incident, we've never had an injury in our team. So in terms of stuff that we need, yeah, we probably need some more help from the government. We need safety vests and helmets and stuff. I've got my own, I use my own, but some of the guys haven't got that. If I can fund that through donations or whatever, I will do that. But I'd rather do that in bulk rather than fund it for each individual person, because I don't want anyone to feel left out. I have done and made that mistake before when it came to the boots. I funded the boots. One or two people didn't get the sizes right, caused a little bit of friction. So I'd rather just buy the lot when I know I've got the money to buy for everybody, rather than, you know, having people think like, you know, they're being left out and stuff. So, but yeah, I have my boundaries in how I work in the team. Everyone has their own boundaries. There's certain things that I won't do, which you've probably seen on the videos, the PMN2s that have been obviously damaged by the fire. You'll see Tolia picking them up and disarming the booster. I cannot do that. Mark, who's obviously a critic of this as well, he understands as well that you cannot do that. I can't do that, because if later on I do go for a job or something with a company, if I'm lucky enough to get a job in EOD, they might look at them videos and think, whoa, you know, that's how it works, and that could affect me 5 years, 10 years down the line. So but yeah, we do need funding. We always need funding. I think next year I am going to look at probably getting some more protective equipment for the guys. I had a meeting with UDAR commanders the other week, and they need a lot. I mean, UDAR's the most underfunded army in Ukraine, and that's obviously who I'm part of. So they had, for example, one vehicle for 20 guys, you know. So my focus is on, over the winter, is getting the training done and focusing on how we can accommodate and help UDAR more, because obviously UDAR are setting up a new base in the south, and I will be looking at you know, trying to do my best for that. So thanks.
I think this kind of answers the next question in some way. So Aussie T, he's put, in brief, you and your team's accommodation nutrition. So what is the most urgent need? What is the general mood among those you speak to? I think you will be on Santa's good list.
Yeah, hopefully. Of you. Aussie T, yeah, Aussie T's a supporter of mine. Thank you for your continued support as always. You know, it doesn't go unnoticed, and that goes for many other guys. You know, I know who people are and it's same names and stuff like that. So yeah, thank you. In terms of our accommodation, nutrition, absolutely fine. A lot of the money that gets sent to us through YouTube goes towards the team. I send the team a certain amount every week, even if I'm not there. We'll go into that in a second because I know there is a comment in terms of my other projects, but I do send and fund basically the whole team through what we get online. Everybody's happy, everybody's eating right, that's the main thing, everybody's warm, and we have spent the last few months preparing for this winter period as well, so our team will be absolutely fine in that period. So working conditions, everybody's happy, and that's obviously thanks to you guys.
So I kind of think that interlinks with the next question from Paul Beasley 8283.
Paul's a good man.
What are the plans for the winter? Will you be continuing the mine clearance, spending the time in training and research, or do you have other plans? I am also curious as to what winter quarters you have, or even if you are too much on the move to have a settled base. That's a good question.
Okay, so our plans for the winter, obviously I'm home for Christmas. Clara's at home. I do have a daughter as well who's nearly a teenager, and obviously I'm spending some time with her. Our plans in winter is pretty much everything that you mentioned then. So there will be some training going on. Yuri and the guys are actually still working. Everybody in that team's still working, even in the snow and the ice. I've advised against that, but I cannot tell them what to do. I'm not in charge. Nobody's actually in charge, to be fair, but they are happy to do that. Everybody knows the risks that come with working in winter. Me personally, I'm not going to take them risks, but I'm going to be focusing more on training and obviously focusing on Udar getting set up again in the south. There's a lot of things going on in terms of trying to defend from the Shaheeds as well. I can't really talk about that too much, but that is a conversation that we've had. Because obviously, if you remember last year, the Russians obviously targeted the power grids in Odessa and all the cities. Ukraine's air defense is a lot better this time, so yeah, we do have a lot of plans in winter. And in terms of accommodation, we have a base in the Kherson region, and we also have our base in Mykolaiv as well, with Sunflower Project. So yeah, everybody's happy and everybody's going to be warm this winter. And we did invest in some winter thermal suits as well the other week. I think in total we've bought like 14 or something now, and that covers every single person in the team. We do have a couple of guys who are joining, so I will be obviously arranging their winter suits as well, but then winter suits are more than capable for any weather that Ukraine's going to face this winter.
So at Carol Vincent 7743 has asked, it seems that you're working with different teams and various volunteers, as you've mentioned already, and you're covering various places. Is that so? And are you able to say which teams and volunteers you're supporting, or should that be kept a secret?
No, it's not a secret. So obviously I work with Udar. Udar is Ukraine Volunteer Army. So if you ever Google that, they actually have a page on Wiki. That's who we're part of. I also work with the 47th Mechanized Brigade of Zesu, which is the Armed Forces of Ukraine. I've just sent them actually some rangefinders this week and 3 binoculars, which were funded from you guys and a friend in Japan who helped us get that over the line, because I was struggling a little bit to try and raise the money for them in time, but that equipment has gone to them. I also work with the 13th Rifles, and I also work with GER EOD. They're my friends and colleagues. Some of us actually train together as well, and they're based very close and doing operations on the front line. The 47th Brigade, they're actually fighting and defending Avdiivka as we speak.
So the next question is from Calligraphy Booster. Would thawing equipment be something of help or to be developed? I'm looking forward to all of your answers, and by the way, thanks for the one you already gave me. PS, I already sent a bunch of benzene or benzine, I don't know how everyone pronounces that, I don't even speak proper English. Benzene burning hand warmers, the type used by fishermen, to some other group. Are you interested?
At the minute, we don't need them. We've actually already prepared for this. I actually got some of them about 2 months before the winter. One thing that I did concentrate on over the last couple of months was getting everyone prepped for winter. Sorry, I just want to read that question again. But thawing equipment, not really. Not for me. I don't want to promote working in winter, to be honest. I'm well against it, if I'm honest. I feel like everybody needs that break as well, and I feel like now's a good time for everybody to get the training set in, and you know, everyone just to pick up a few more bits and have a mental break. I mean, when you go to Ukraine, a lot of Ukrainians have breaks, you know. Not everyone's constantly on the front line all the time. I mean, you go to Western Ukraine and it's full of soldiers, you know. People are having a bit of R&R. So yeah, I'm not going to promote working and demining in winter anymore, really.
I mean, I think for me to say, like, I'm no EOD expert, but I think like at this time of year when the conditions aren't good, it's probably a good time to maybe do assessments ready for when the winter clears and it's safe to demine again.
Yeah, well, Kevin from Sunflower Project, he's actually still out there doing surveys, finding more minefields for us to work on. He actually found a new minefield yesterday, and also found a sub-munition in a garden which was cleared, apparently. So yeah, he messaged me yesterday, which we've had to get him to report that to the local services. Sorry, that's just my car.
Okay, so a guy called, or at Fix It Frank, what is the biggest deficiency in mine clearing equipment that you would like to see technologically improved?
I think, to be honest, I won't say it's equipment, I'd say it's more training. I think equipment, there's a lot of equipment there to actually demine. From my personal point of view and what I see personally, I mean, obviously there's a big, huge crisis with mines in Ukraine. But if I'm honest, all this talk about them taking 775 years to clear the country, I don't think it will. I think there's real good progress being made, and there's even more progress to come next year. When I'm out on the ground there, it's full of teams and charities, like demining organisations, working. I mean, from Snierivka to Mykolaiv, I think I counted like over 20 teams just driving through one day. So yeah, in terms of equipment, I don't think there is so much of a deficiency at the minute. I think that people can only go as fast as they can go safely if they want it to be fully cleared, you know. I think if things are rushed and things like that, you know, it's not going to be, the job's not going to be done properly. So for me, I think training's the best bet going forward. And obviously there's a lot of new technology coming out. I mean, there's different technology all the time, different drones, different this, different that, all sorts of companies messaging us as well. Can you test this? Can you test that? I mean, I've had one this morning, haven't I, on LinkedIn, asking if we can test some of their products. So, I mean, at the minute, I'm going to say no. Obviously, I've got too much going on. I don't want to take up any more projects, but yeah, it's exciting times in the demining world, I suppose. Unfortunately, it has to come something like this as well. But going forward, there's a lot of good news and good things coming.
So there is a question from is it Vim7557? Apologies if I pronounced that wrong. So what is the most important lesson you have learned in these hard times? Slava Ukraini.
To be honest, I feel like discipline for me, you know. I feel like I've learned to discipline myself. I've learned about friendship. I've learned about, obviously, people like yourselves, people's kindness and support. Definitely. You know, there's a lot of a lot of negativity going on in the world, and a lot of people are falling on hard times, and to be honest, the support from you guys, and you know, support with who, you know, Brandon, Starsky, all them guys who are good friends of mine, you know, the support that everybody gets and shows, and the love that's shown, you know, just outshines all the bad things in the world. And that's kind of restored my faith in like humanity as well, you know, because I've had a hard life, Cora's had a hard life, you know, to be honest. Yeah, we've both had hard lives, and we've grown up in a place where it's tough here, you know. I'm actually in Blackpool now. I'm going to give you a little tour of Blackpool anyway on a few clips, but it's not the nicest place to be, you know. But it's not where we live, but it's not far away. But
this, the 1950s, this was like the holiday destination,
it was,
and
probably,
now
it's probably a lot nicer then. I think we've had a couple of drug addicts eyeing the car up already. You know, so even the GoPro, we won't be leaving that in the car anyway. So we're gonna go for a walk shortly after this. But yeah, thank you to everybody who supports us, and that's shown me a lot of and changed me as a person as well.
So you've got a question from at Marcel Missick 8811. How effective are your trained sappers? Do they have time for proper diffusing, or just go with the flow in real frontline situations? What are the numbers in the Zaporizhia frontline in terms of mine denseness?
In Zaporizhia, nobody knows. I don't think Ukraine has advanced as far as obviously we expected to. So nobody actually really knows. And it's hard to put numbers on that. And I've not really demined in the Zaporizhia area. I've done a lot of training in Zaporizhia. A lot of my colleagues, my closest colleagues, are based in Zaporizhia from Ger. And yeah, I mean, Kherson density is really high. But I think what it is with Kherson, I know I'm going a bit off topic, but a lot of the mines, it's like they've just thrown them out, you know. I think because we were getting such big numbers, it's because they were so easy to get. But what it was with Kherson is that the Russians also expected to be the ones clearing them, so they never really made a huge effort in terms of mining. I mean, obviously there's some mines that are there and the booby traps and everything else, you know, the well hidden and dug in, but there is also a lot that are just sat on the surface like they've just been thrown out the back of a truck. So in terms of my sappers and the guys, you know, my colleagues, I say my sappers, I mean, they're not mine, we all work together, we're all equal. I'm nobody's boss, but yeah, I think they're, you know, very well experienced. I mean, 8,500 munitions since June. And it is actually more than that. That's just all we can document that we've given and tallied up and given. But yeah, there's no argument with them numbers. You know, some of our guys have probably cleared more in 2 months than what somebody in a 10-year army career has ever done. I mean, there's a lot of EOD guys who've actually never worked on a live munition before. So, you know, experience, I've no questions.
Next question from Lane DL1. How do you dig up the mines when the ground is frozen? Can the mine detectors work when there is a lot of snow?
The mine detectors do work, but obviously if the snow's that thick, then the mine's there. It's a lot more weak of a signal. As you've probably seen on my videos the other week when I was clearing in the snow. We can't really dig them up whilst the ground's frosted. So we had an actual problem the other week because at night time it was really cold, and then in the morning when we was turning up, we thought, oh yeah, the ground's not going to be too bad, but it was, and it was frozen just due to the temperature drop the night before. So yeah, it's difficult, and it's just not worth doing. I mean, prodding around on an explosive that might be booby trapped, all it takes is a slight movement, you know, or anything to activate whatever could be underneath. So yeah, it's just not worth it.
I think this question has been like half answered from a previous question. So at Marion Hutton 8141.
Marion.
Are you contacted by units if they need an area clearance, or do you know where they are most of the time?
Yeah, so sometimes what happens is that we get given coordinates of certain munitions, locals, things like that, kind of report things, and obviously the authorities as well give out the location. So yeah, we know where things are, and obviously we've got Kevin as well, who's always hunting around with, you know, he's a drone guy now. So we had some support from the Netherlands in terms of drones, and some software from America which has been helping us locate the mines as well, and Kevin's well in charge of that, and he's really hit the ground running with that. So yeah, it's been really good. And I think that this year, I did state the other day, I think this year we've kind of overachieved a lot, you know. It's been a bit of a fast whirlwind year, you know, but we've had a lot done and a lot of good work. And I mean, to be honest, if we were to get paid for what we did and bill a government or whatever, then, you know, we'd be talking well into the millions, but we don't do that. So
there is a question from @StretchMedia. How can people who want to help get in contact with others in Ukraine that can lead them in the right direction? Are there state contacts for civilian and military volunteering and or service? Slava Ukraini.
So in terms of mining, demining, sorry, no, there isn't really anybody you can contact, to be honest. I mean, I just kind of did my own thing and got in contact with people myself. The best thing to do if you come into Ukraine to volunteer is get a plane ticket, turn up, maybe do your research on a few organisations that and what kind of work they do, and the kind of people that they are. I mean, there's a lot of people who are idiots, to be honest, but you'll never see that online. That's usually something you discover when you meet them in person. Online, everyone's a great person, you know. But yeah, I think to be honest, my advice is just to do it. Just have a bit of money behind you, though, you know. Have a backup plan, and maybe just liaise with them a bit, and just feel organisations out. Yeah, so that's my advice, really.
And there is actually a message from David Williams. I think it's John from Wales.
John.
He's actually said, don't volunteer unless you have skills plus some kind of fitness and can stomach war, but Harley, be safe from all in Wales. Hi, yeah. John.
Hi, John. Yeah, we're both fans of John, by the way. John's a long-term supporter of us. So yeah, I agree. I think a lot of people operate out of the comfort zone. I feel like there's going to be a hell of a lot of mental health problems in the future with the Westerners. There already is, actually. There's a hell of a lot of mental health problems anyway, and drink problems, which is a big problem among the volunteers. I think what it is that people try to do too much. People try to be heroes, and people try to operate in areas which they're just not built for, you know. There's one particular organisation where the person's just constantly crying all the time, and it's just like, if things make you that upset, why do you keep doing it? Unless they're crocodile tears, you know, sympathy tears maybe, I don't know. But me personally, I just don't understand that. Why would you even operate doing that? If it makes you that upset, if it bothers you that much, if it's ruining your life and your mental state and everything else, it's like, you know, maybe it's time to go home then. You know, you need to look after yourself before you can look after other people. So yeah, even me, like, you know, this time I even said to you, didn't I, like, you know, I needed to come home. Like, I won't lie, I was getting a bit irate at certain people and certain things, and you know, and I thought, what good am I doing that? I can't be demining it if I'm waking up angry. No, I wasn't waking up angry, but I was on the verge of.
You did come home one time and you was very delirious. It was like you was just
I was just delirious. I was just delirious, just through lack of sleep, because you know what? Sometimes I just don't sleep well. I mean, not because there's an air raid siren or this and that. Sometimes when I'm in Ukraine, I just don't sleep well. Like, it'll be very broken sleep.
Or it could be like the 18 hours stretch of pure driving with no mental or physical break in that respect.
Yeah, and it's just, yeah, it can be quite tiring. And obviously, I needed that little break, you know. I need to come home, see my family. I need to come home, see Cara, because Cara works full time. She used all the holidays at work. coming to Ukraine this year. And, you know, for the last 6-7 months, you've not had any days off, have you? So she hasn't been able to come, and yeah, and it's just like, you know, some people just, sometimes you just need to take that break. I mean, Ukrainians do it, you know, everyone thinks that they're all out on the front lines every day. It's a complete lie. A lot of them are out in Uremchi and places in western Ukraine. You know,
beautiful places.
Yeah, well. Beautiful place. And the Carpathians, you know, having a sauna and everything. So, you know, everyone needs a break.
So your next question is from @SteveKelly2018. Do you still need radios? If yes, will you go to the radio place before you go back after Christmas? Can cover a couple of batteries at the moment. Might be able to do one radio depending on when you return to Ukraine.
Okay, so me personally, I don't need radios. I sorted our team out with some radios a few months ago, thanks to a guy in Yorkshire actually who actually supplied them. But yeah, them radios are in use every day. And I need to obviously meet up again with him because he does message me and keeps in contact with me. But yeah, Steve, I don't need radios, but Brandon's always the guy who needs as many radios because obviously he's, you know, funding the hospitallers. So yeah, I mean, if you want to do that, that's fine. I think Sophie did mention there was somebody in the pipeline who was Sophie's the girl at Radio Trader. That's the company where we get the radios in England. But she did mention there was somebody in the pipeline who was, so I'm not sure if that was yourself, mate, but it is quite common that people do donate and buy radios through Sophie for units in Ukraine.
And we actually appreciate anything because, you know, it's a hard world out there at the minute. Everyone's struggling in some way anyway, aren't they? So anything's really appreciated as it is.
Yeah, definitely.
So there is another question. So Concerned Rabbit 9075. How do you detect the plastic ones?
Nothing's fully plastic. I mean, there's always some sort of metal element in there, but the plastic ones, they're never buried, so they're always laid on the surface somewhere, you know. A lot of them self-destruct as well. There is 2 versions actually, and one of them will self-destruct and the other one won't. So what we do, we usually know when they're in that area. Usually someone's reported it, or you can just see them on the surface if you're lucky. The only problem that we have is because in Kherson there hasn't been any fighting or war there for over a year. Sometimes the grass is overgrown around them and stuff, so it is a bit of a delicate operation, and sometimes, you know, we do burn the ground, or it's already burnt for us when we arrive, just to clear any tripwires and things like that. Not everyone agrees with that, but you know, it's just difficult conditions. And if we didn't do that, we'd be there for forever. So what we do, we actually use like a beer bottle. I don't know if I've shown you before, but we cut the beer bottle, like a 2-litre beer bottle. We'll just cut the bottom off, so it's like a hollow you can put your hand in, and then we put like a mop stick on the end, and we tape it around obviously the bottle bit at the top, and then we just scoop them up, because they are only blast only munitions. There is no real frag that can hurt you. In a sense, it might hurt your ears, but if it does go off, which we've never actually had one go off, the bottle will contain a decent chunk of the blast as well. So yeah, we just put them in a pit, and then, you know, we'll blow the pit. But it is a very, very, very delicate operation.
There has been a couple of questions on here about, is this a live stream? Apologies guys,
no,
it's not.
No, and you know what, I don't know how to do it. Maybe I should speak to Rick the Ukrainian or Starsky or something, and they can point me in the right direction. But maybe I will do some more live streams. I actually have more footage to come. I just haven't edited my videos yet, I won't lie. I was absolutely tired. I have footage, and then I did a load of footage, and then some guy who was with us that day decided that he didn't want his face there, and I'm like, you know, I had to delete a lot of the footage, and it's just a lot of it. Yeah, there's all sorts been going on. It can be quite overwhelming, you know. So I do apologise if I just haven't put enough footage on there, you know. But the idea when I first started doing YouTube is that I didn't really want to become that YouTube guy. Do you know what I mean? It was all about just support for what we're doing. And obviously, because of the work that I do and stuff, and obviously Mark might have a go at me as well, which he usually does, but you know, it's hard to be that guy standing around waving a camera when people are demining. I mean, it's really dangerous, and I've got to be careful in what I do. Obviously, for me, you need safer working practices, which is something I'm trying to promote amongst the guys, you know. So I have to be extra careful when waving a camera around. And also, you need to remember that a lot of the authorities also subscribe to my channel, so I need to make sure I'm in their good books as well. So yeah.
So the next question is from Kurt Kimball 4752. What is the item you use to remove the fuse from the TM? He's put idle that spins the fuse off. I don't know if that's worded wrong. I have not seen that before.
That's called a DZM1. There is a new version called the DZM2, which is coming out, which is actually a lighter version. It won't break either if the TM goes off. They've made it some kind of blast proof. Like, I don't know how they've done that, but they seem to think they have. I'm still debating that and waiting to see if that's actually true, but this next one has better flipping capabilities as well, and it's cheaper, so I'm just waiting for them to make that. But they said the first 3 DZM2s are going to go to me. So
is that from UTP?
UTP, yeah. So
there is another question. This is quite actually a good question. This is from Johansson. Sorry if I said that wrong. 8009. Is there any truth in that Russia stacks 2 anti-tank mines on top of each other to break anti-mining vehicles?
I've not seen that personally. They do stack, but I've not seen 2 anti-tank mines on top of each other. But I wouldn't rule it out. I've seen some very, very bizarre things. But personally speaking myself, no. What we have seen is ML8, some grenades. We've seen what's it called, PMM1 underneath. Yeah, it's PMM3, I think. Just trying to think, there's that many. It's like, you know, and TNT. We've had TNT underneath. There was actually one on my next video with a TNT underneath. So yeah, you'll see it.
So there is a question. This is another really good question. I mean, they're all good questions, but this is a really good one. So at Gary East 7259, if the war ended today, how long do you think it would take to demine vital areas? Enough for some kind of normality, I mean, and the country's economy to run?
I think the way things are going now and the speed that it's going, I think it's going to be about, me personally, I reckon 5 to 10 years to get it done. Depends who's working. I mean, if it's us, be a lot less. If it's Mark's team, might be a lot longer. But no offense, Mark. But it all depends. It all depends, really. It's hard to say, actually. It's a difficult one, because obviously with all the new technology and everything coming out, they've got like some magnetic sensors on drones now, which is just mega.
Insane.
Yeah, it's insane. But we'll see how we get on. But unfortunately, I think it's quite a difficult question, actually. Yeah.
So we do have one. This is quite a long YouTube username. So at user-mw3gs9tp4l. Why so many mines? For military purposes or genocide?
I think it's kind of Russian warfare. A lot of it's area denial and trying to slow any advance that Ukraine could have done against them. And that's it, really. It's just trying to cause as much injury and area denial and trying to affect Ukraine's economy as much as they could. Yeah, simple answer, really.
So the next one, I do apologise again, I'm not really good. I mean, I'm British, but apparently where we're from, we don't speak proper England, as people say. So at Anna Namu2248, how do you take the mines apart safely? Do you recycle the explosives, the cases, detonator?
I don't take the mines apart. They're picked up by other people who take them elsewhere. But some of the mines are used to defend the borders of Ukraine. And that's what I'm going to say.
So we've got another question. So the fan at the fan one, y'all moving towards enemies, so they moving back away from y'all in retreat. I do apologise with this y'all. Is this reason for mines? Why don't they just blow planted mines themselves?
You're moving, sorry.
Y'all.
You're moving towards enemies. I think again, it's to slow any advance towards Russia, which a lot of the reason why Ukraine have kind of been unsuccessful in Zaporizhia is due to the amount of mines and drones that Russia has. Unfortunately, people underestimate Russia. People think they're this joke army sort of thing, but it's not actually the truth. They're very good at some of the things that they do, and one of them is electronic warfare.
So you've actually had some well wishes now. So you've got Carrie Saunders, I think of you and your fellow sappers daily, highly, with a Canadian flag and a logo. Thank you. And then we've also got Keith Dunwoody 1302. Good morning, mate. Well, good afternoon, mate. We're still with you. And then you've also got another question, which is actually my favourite question. Question for the algorithm. This is from @RogerWilco5918. Does your back hurt carrying around that huge set of balls?
Oh, yeah.
I can answer that one.
Yeah. I actually love that. When he said that, I'm sure he said it the other week. I've actually had that twice, so I can only assume it's you. But yeah, I love that. Honestly, it's good. It just made me laugh, and yeah, it's proper sense of humour stuff for that, me. That, so I do like that. But yeah, yeah, it does hurt.
But yeah, that's all the questions,
yeah.
guys.
All right, well, thank you, and thank you to everybody who donates to us and who supports us. It's not always about donating. Sometimes just sharing our work, sharing it on Reddit and places like that. I mean, if anybody could do that, I'd really appreciate that. Cora's actually took time today to ask me these questions. This is actually her day off work, so and I've only just come home from Ukraine and promised that I wouldn't speak about or do anything about the war and everything else. So yeah, I appreciate it.
And he's promised me a Toby's carvery. So.
Yeah, we're actually in Blackpool, right? Any English person knows Blackpool. She wants to go for a Toby's. I'm more of a fish and chips guy, you know. When you come to the seaside, you have fish and chips in England, but no, she wants Toby's, which is like a carvery, which you have usually on like a Sunday. And today's Saturday.
That's the one thing when I have been to Ukraine, is like the one thing I truly miss is my roast dinners.
Yeah.
We do make a really good roast dinner.
Yeah. People slate British cuisine, but you know what? It's actually really good, especially if you're British. So when you go to Ukraine and you're having like buckwheat and boiled egg for breakfast, and like I ring Cara and she's having a butcher's sausage and sandwich and whatever, a full English, and I'm just sat there like with stale bread, boiled egg and some buckwheat.
Well, it's either boiled egg or the egg's completely cremated in terms of like being fried, but you get that crispy burnt bit at the bottom.
Yeah.
Oh.
So, well, thanks for joining us.
Thanks,
anyway,
guys.
and I hope we managed to answer all your questions. I mean, if there's anything that I have missed, just put it in the comments, and I'll react to the comments tonight or tomorrow. But thank you, and keep supporting the volunteers, and we're looking forward to 2024. I will be back in Ukraine. Obviously not just after Christmas, but I am back in Ukraine after Christmas, but I will be spending some time at home. I do actually have a course that I've been attending, which is a media security course, it's just for security advisor for like journalists and stuff like that. It's just maybe extra money for me, you know, alongside my EOD, because to be honest, I am self-funded. I have been for nearly 2 years. It's got to a point now where next year I am going to have to start looking at some sort of paid work to support my EOD work and whatever else. So
and the bills.
And the bills, yeah.
Hence
so
why I work full time.
This war's cost me a hell of a lot of money. I mean, since the start of the war, it's nearly £24,000 I've spent of my own money, and I've just sold my bike. I've got a few things I can sell, but that's not always answering everything, is it? So yeah, appreciate everything, and and have a good weekend. I don't know what I'm saying now, I'm losing my words. So, right, bye.
Bye.
Cara. Hey!